Hello and welcome to Screen Hype. I'm here today with Nick Thurston, who was involved in the making of my favorite game I played this year so far, Date Everything. So, Nick, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the game?
Hi, yeah, I'm Nick. I'm so happy to hear that you're enjoying it so much. Yeah, the fan reaction and the reaction from the whole indie community has just been unbelievable to see. So we put a ton of effort into it, and it's really nice to see everybody enjoying it so much. Yeah, so I'm Nick Thurston. I've been involved in the game since 6 years ago when we actually started putting it all together in 2019. I wrote something like 10 of the characters, and I voice Sinclaire. I also did a bunch of kind of back end dev stuff on the game as well.
Perfect. So, it is just the most unhinged concept for a game I have ever seen. I remember when I first saw the trailer for it, and I was like, okay, this is either going to be the best game ever or just a colossal failure. So, what did you first think when the idea was pitched to you?
Oh, I mean, it's so right up my alley. So yeah, I mean, totally unhinged is right, but also, it's just one of those ideas where you hear it and right away you're like, oh, that sounds really interesting and fun. How can you not get interested in what that is? And then as we started to kind of develop all these different characters, it's kind of a writer's dream come true because we've got so many different, we all have associations with all these objects in our house, and it's so easy to start playing with these ideas of kind of how do you bring those to life as kind of anthropomorphize them, bring them to life as human beings. So it's just a ton of fun, and it offers the opportunity to be both kind of really zany and off the wall and unhinged. Um, but also, I think one of the things that we like to try to mention about the game when we're talking about it is how much heart really went into it. I think, we did not want to make something that was just silly and goofy and kind of full of jokes and bad puns and innuendos. Um, of course, we wanted that too, but we really wanted to try and say something with the game about the about human connection and the ways that all the different forms that can take. So yeah.
I think that pattern you were talking about definitely comes through with the game. That's one of the things I like the most about it is you've got like 100 odd characters, and yet each one feels so distinct in their personality and so different. And I was wondering when you were writing the characters, you mentioned you wrote quite a few, and you obviously had an idea in your head of like who this character is going to be. Was it hard to then pass it off to a different voice actor to play it and then bring it to life in that way, or did you have any say over who would be doing the voice acting? Did you have any say over the sort of direction they took it once you gave them the script? Or is it just here's the script, make them come to life?
Yeah, so a couple different parts of that question. One was kind of, is it hard to sort of pass it off and kind of let that creativity, you know, for at least part of the time when you're creating something like that, it's your baby. And then at a certain point, you have to say, okay, well, now out you go into the world and, we'll see what somebody else makes of it. But the truth is, no, not hard at all. I think one of the great blessings that we had in this game is just an extraordinary team with so many different perspectives, so many different ideas, so much creativity, that you couldn't be precious with your work on it. And that was really a great thing because we got so many different kinds of insight and so many different kinds of people um, bringing their perspective and creativity to each element of the game, that was just the nature of the whole project. So you weren't like passing it off and going, oh gosh, I hope, it doesn't get ruined. You were excited to see, I speak for myself, I was really excited to see all the different characters that I wrote, see how they were voiced and brought into reality. In terms of whether I had any say in it, no, that was Ray and Robbie for the most part. I think who really did almost all those major casting decisions. I did get to do one thing, which is I made it very clear that if I was going to get to do one character, I wanted it to be Sinclair. Um, Sinkhead Man is definitely my no one wants to pick their favorite no one wants to pick their favorite child, but Sinclair's definitely my favorite child.
I was actually going to ask you about Sinclair next because he is arguably the most unique character in the entire game in that he is a Sink who thinks he's a man. What was it like playing that kind of confused meta character, and how much day did obviously you wrote him, so how much day did you get over the direction that his story took? And obviously his lore is just so different to every other character. So what was it like playing someone so completely different to every other character in the game?
Well, I didn't have to think about comparing it to any of the other characters in the game in terms of my performance because I hadn't heard any of the other ones. The only one that I sat in on the voice directing session for was Michael Lors playing Lux. So that's because we were so busy at that time that I was I just couldn't sit in on any of them. I was too busy, writing, trying to, put together all these updates that we had to deliver to Team 17, and sort of we were just like trying to push the thing across the finish line to get it out there in as polished a state as we could for the fans. So, the one exception, like I said, was Michael Lors, and that was because they reached out to me during that recording session and they were like, Nick, you have to get on this session and hear some of this because it is just absolutely hilarious. And it really was. Michael knocked it out of the park. When I was playing Sinclair, it was really I didn't have anything to go on in terms of whether or not this existed in sort of a known universe of other kind of styles of performance. So I just got to take a swing at it in whatever way I wanted. Robbie Damon directed that session, and Robbie is such a pro in every way. So I knew I was in good hands, and then it was just a matter of like swing for the fences with it. Bring as much of this unhinged, crazy character as possible to life. So yeah, I also voiced Sudsy, Sinclair's dog, and for those of you who have actually interacted with this character, and I know that many of you might not have, I voiced Jeremy from Valdivian. Um, so there's kind of a secret little Easter egg there for people who might have found Jeremy from Valdivian.
So as you mentioned at the start, the fan response to this game has been absolutely incredible and rightly so. And I have seen just so many really cool pieces of fan art. And I was wondering, do you have a favorite piece of fan art that you've seen?
Man, there's so many good ones. I think, okay, so there's one that springs to mind though. Somebody did a piece of fan art of Maggie. And I just love it. There's like a little chibi Maggie, and it is the cutest little thing. And I just love it. Maggie is another one of the characters that's just very, very near and dear to my heart. And yeah, so I think that's probably one of my favorites. I've seen some great ones of Sinclair. I've seen some really funny, really funny ones of Keith. Um, yeah, tough to choose. There's so much good stuff coming out. It's wonderful.
So you're also technically in the game yourself as part of the day-to-day State the Dev mini game in the Sassy Chat storyline. And I was wondering, was it really weird having to play yourself in that context?
Yes.
You went really extra with your.
Yeah, I actually got reeled back. I Ray was like, I think you need to pull it back a little bit. And I was like, okay, because I really didn't know how far we were going with that. So yeah, so what you see is only part of what the initial approach was.
So you actually mentioned in one of your facts in that game that you lived with Ray for a while in London. So I was wondering, what was it like when you guys were living together, and how was it reuniting with him to work on this game?
I mean, London was a crazy time. We were in college, and so we were studying at the British American Drama Academy together, and it was amazing. It was my first time out of the country, and just wonderful to be sharing that experience with such close friends. And then Ray is like one of my best friends in the entire world. I love Ray from the absolute bottom of my heart. Ray and Julia mean the world to me. Um, and so getting to do this with the both of them, but getting to do this under Ray's leadership, I'm so proud. As a friend, I'm so proud. You know, I, I'm sure most of your audience knows Ray and is familiar with Ray's work, and he's an extraordinary talent. But what people don't see is he is one of the hardest working, most you know, incredibly hardworking, demonstrates amazing leadership in every way that you can, and is one of the most humble, kind people to be around. Never loses his temper, always patient with everybody that he's working with, always so unfailingly creative. Um, and still somehow manages to be so playful and have so many brilliant ideas. So no, Ray is I have the utmost respect for him, and of course, like I said, he's just one of my favorite people as a friend in the whole world. So yeah, great is the short answer.
That's really cool. I love how close you are with him. And I must say, I saw a video of the Date Everything launch party, and it does seem like such a fantastic group of people involved in the game. And I was wondering, how much interaction did you get to have with the other devs, or was it very much just everyone kind of doing their own thing?
First, I have to say, and everybody knows this on the team, I was heartbroken because I couldn't be at that launch party.
Oh
I know. I was at a conference in the on the East Coast and I couldn't go and I was so sad. Um, but in terms of interaction with the team, it was very much a remote team, right? So we did have some opportunities to meet up in Los Angeles, which was great. Got to meet a bunch of the writing team and a bunch of the other people working on the game. But mostly we were working remotely, and so it was, via Discord. And yeah, I would say that I had much more interaction with some people than others. So, for example, we all interacted with Nijuku, who did the art, extraordinary work. Um, uh, and a few other people that I got to work with quite a bit. Amanda Hufford, of course, Ray, Robbie, Dom Din, um, TJ, a few other people, and always just great interactions. So yeah.
okay, this is an interesting one. Which Date Everything character would you say you were most like in real life? Which one is more your kind of personality?
Oh, that's a tough one. I have no idea. Oh, good question, Malika. That's
Thought
a
I'd catch
great
you off
one.
guard with that.
I don't know. I have to ask you the same question after this, so get ready. I would say, oh my goodness, maybe even okay, there's like part of me that's Sinclair, because I am just that weird. My wife would tell you that. I'm very strange. But I guess I like to think maybe a bit like Abel in some ways, you know. I do really, especially now that I'm in my mid 30s now, and I've got more responsibilities, and so trying as hard as I can to just be supportive and helpful for the people in my life as much as I can, but with the Sinkly zaniness. Okay, your turn.
Oh. Okay, so I kind of got like two sides for me because there's one side that I'd say I'm quite like Holly and that I could take on a bunch of different projects all at once. I've got like so much going on in my head. I want to be helping everyone and we're doing this and that. I can't just like knuckle down and do one thing. And then the other side of me is like Koa and I just want to sit on the sofa and just watch TV all day and do absolutely nothing. So I kind of like go between the two extremes and there's no real middle ground. I'm either just absolute flat out pushing myself, working on a ton of different projects, or I'm sat on the sofa with my cats, just lazing around, doing absolutely nothing.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, and kind of like the flip side of that, then, if you had to be in a relationship with one of the characters in the game, which one would you say is the best for you to be in a relationship with?
Oh, these are fun. These are fun. Oh my goodness. I don't know why. Okay, part of me thinks Dolly. I don't know why. I just really like Dolly. That's the one
No
that
judgment
sprang
here.
out at me. Yeah. Just got quite a bit of attitude, quite a bit of kind of like very, very kind of smart, has a lot going for her. But also, got the cute, like very cute vibes to her as well. So yeah, I would say probably Dolly. That's my current answer. This is subject
Awesome.
to change within the next 24 hours.
So as we said, the players are absolutely loving this game. It's been hugely popular, and I was wondering, with this popularity, can players expect more DLC in the future? And if so, which kind of characters would you like to include?
Well, I can't answer that to be honest. I
Hypothetically.
hypothetically, it would be amazing if we could include some DLC. I don't, to be honest, I'm not even behind the scenes on those conversations, so I can't say what the players could expect. I don't want to give a false idea. I will say that Sassy Chap is maybe working on some secret stuff. So, this has been so beloved by the community, and we've all loved working with one another so much that there may be things already in the works to be expected in the future, but can't say what the timeline would look like. And then if we were going to do DLC on Date Everything, what characters do we want to include? Well, we've kind of talked about the idea of like Date Everything else. So it's got to be outside the house, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've got a whole world out there of interesting objects and concepts that we might have. So, what's a traffic light like to date? Hmm. What about a tree? Yeah, these are fun. What about hustling to work? Oh boy, there's all kinds of interesting ideas. So,
I would play absolutely anything put out in the Date Everything universe. I can't lie. So steering away from Date Everything now. Obviously, you are a voice actor and a games writer, and I was wondering if you were looking back on your previous projects, is there anything you wish you'd kind of done differently on previous things? Anything you'll change with hindsight?
I really try to live life without regrets. It's really easy to look back and frankly, like I think get kind of in some ways kind of get down on ourselves about things that we might have wished that we could have done differently. So I really try not to do that. Um, I think I've been really lucky. I mean, I've had a lot of amazing opportunities and I've worked really hard. And I know that there's probably a million more interesting opportunities to come. So I guess, okay, I'll say this. Early on in my career, I was doing almost exclusively on-camera work. And I didn't get into doing VO until much later when my kind of just things changed and I sort of was like, oh, okay, I want to do more voice acting stuff. But before that, it just wasn't really on my radar. I think if I had known how much fun that this all was and kind of just the environment around voice acting, the fan bases around some of this stuff, the ability to interact with people who just really fall in love with these projects. It's very different than it is in on camera. And I've been so happy doing it that I think, yeah, I would have gotten into that earlier. I would have done more VO earlier in my career, but hey, got a long time left to do it, so.
That is wonderful. And finally, if you had to pitch Date Everything to someone who's on the fence about buying it, what would you say? A couple of sentences, pitch it to someone who's on the fence.
Haven't you ever wanted to know what it's like to date your toaster? That's it.
So that's it.
Do you want
Thank
to see A rapping toilet?
Oh dear. Thank you so much for this, Nick. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Do give it a like. Drop a comment down below about your favorite characters in Date Everything and subscribe to the channel for more fun content in the future. Bye bye.